The conference room fell silent. Every pair of eyes was fixed on Michael Carson as he stood there, his expensive suit perfectly pressed, his hand pointing directly at Maria, the cleaning lady who had accidentally bumped into him, spilling red wine on his sleeve. "Do you have any idea how much this suit costs?" Michael's voice cut through the room like a knife. "More than you make in 6 months, I guarantee it." Maria stood frozen, her eyes downcast, the wine bottle trembling in her hands. The entire law firm's holiday party had stopped to watch. What Michael didn't know, what nobody in that room knew, was that in exactly 72 hours, Maria would walk back into that building. But this time, she wouldn't be holding a mop. This is the story of how one moment of cruelty changed everything. Michael Carson had it all figured out. At 42, he was the youngest senior partner at Morrison and Associates, one of Chicago's most prestigious law firms. His corner office overlooked Lake Michigan. His Rolex was genuine. His confidence was unshakable. He'd built his reputation on being ruthless, in the courtroom and in life. "Nice guys finish last," he'd tell junior associates. "Remember that." On the morning of December 15th, Michael arrived at the office at 6 a.m., like always. The building was empty except for the cleaning crew. He barely noticed them. To Michael, they were invisible, part of the furniture. Maria Gonzalez had been cleaning that building for 12 years. She was 58, with tired eyes and calloused hands. Every morning she arrived at 4 a.m. Every evening she left at 8 p.m. Between shifts, she went home to her small apartment in the South Side, where she lived alone. Her son Daniel had moved away years ago. They spoke once a week, maybe. Maria never complained about the distance. She understood. Daniel had his own life now. What nobody at Morrison and Associates knew was that Daniel Gonzalez had spent the last decade building something. While his mother mopped floors, he'd built a tech empire. At 35, he was worth $400 million, and in 3 days, he was buying Morrison and Associates. But on that December morning, none of this had happened yet. Maria was just the cleaning lady, and Michael was just another arrogant lawyer who didn't see her as human. The firm's holiday party was scheduled for 6 p.m. Michael had argued against it. "Waste of billable hours," he'd said, but he was outvoted. The party was happening in the main conference room. By 6:30 p.m., the room was packed. Associates mingled nervously. Partners held court in corners. The open bar was doing good business. Michael stood near the windows, surrounded by junior lawyers laughing at his jokes. He was holding court, telling a story about destroying an opponent in court when he felt someone bump into him from behind. Red wine splashed across his white shirt and gray suit jacket. He spun around. Maria stood there, her face pale, still holding the wine bottle she'd been using to refill glasses. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Carson," Maria stammered in accented English. "I didn't see—" "You didn't see?" Michael's voice rose. The conversations around them stopped. "You didn't see me standing right here? It was an accident." "An accident?" Michael pulled off his jacket, examining the stain. His face was red now, not just from the wine. "Do you have any idea how much this costs?" The room had gone completely silent. "This suit cost $8,000. $8,000. He held up the jacket, displaying the stain like evidence in court. "That's more than you make in 6 months, I guarantee it." Maria's eyes filled with tears. She tried to speak, but no words came. "You know what?" Michael continued, his voice dripping with contempt. "This is exactly why we need to review our cleaning contracts. We're paying for people who can't even walk straight." A few nervous laughs came from the crowd. Most people just stared at their drinks. Jennifer Morrison, one of the founding partners, stepped forward. "Michael, it was an accident." "An accident that's going to cost me money," Michael shot back. He turned to Maria. "Get out, and tell your supervisor I want you replaced. Permanently." Maria set down the wine bottle with shaking hands. She said nothing. She just turned and walked out of the conference room, leaving her cleaning cart behind. As the door closed, the party slowly resumed. People avoided looking at Michael. He didn't care. He went to the bathroom to assess the damage to his suit. Jennifer Morrison followed him out. That was completely unnecessary. It's an $8,000 suit, Jennifer. It's dry cleanable, and she's a human being. Michael shrugged. Maybe she'll be more careful at her next job? What Michael didn't see, what he couldn't have seen, was Maria in the service elevator, tears streaming down her face, pulling out her phone with trembling hands. She dialed a number she rarely called. Daniel? Her voice cracked. Mijo, I need to talk to you about something. Monday morning, 9 a.m. Michael walked into Morrison and Associates feeling good. The dry cleaner had worked miracles on his suit. The weekend had been excellent. He'd closed a major deal, played golf, forgotten all about Friday's incident. He stepped off the elevator on the executive floor. Something felt different. People were clustered in small groups, whispering. When they saw him, they went quiet. What's going on? Michael asked his assistant. Emergency partners meeting? Conference room A. They want you there now. Michael frowned. He hadn't been notified about any meeting. He grabbed his coffee and headed down the hall. The conference room was packed. All 12 partners were there, plus several people Michael didn't recognize. At the head of the table sat Jennifer Morrison and a young man in an expensive suit. Tasteful expensive, not showy expensive. The young man had his mother's eyes. Michael, come in, Jennifer said. Her voice was carefully neutral. We have some news. Morrison and Associates has been acquired. As of this morning, we have new ownership. Michael's coffee cup stopped halfway to his lips. I'd like to introduce Daniel Gonzalez, CEO of Horizon Technologies. Daniel has purchased the firm as part of his expansion into legal tech integration. Daniel stood and offered his hand to the room. His handshake was firm and professional as he greeted each partner. When he reached Michael, he paused. Mr. Carson, I've heard a lot about you. Michael's hand was sweating as he shook it. Something about this felt wrong, but he couldn't place what. Daniel has some immediate changes he'd like to implement, Jennifer continued. Daniel? Thank you, Jennifer. Daniel's voice was calm, measured. First, I want to assure everyone their positions are secure. I'm not here to clean house. I'm here to build something better. Relief rippled through the room. However, Daniel continued, I do have one immediate personnel concern. Mr. Carson, I'd like to speak with you privately after this meeting. Michael's stomach dropped. Around the room, partners avoided his eyes. The meeting continued for another hour. Details about integration, new technology systems, expanded benefits. Michael heard none of it. His mind was racing. Why him? What had he done? When the meeting finally ended, Daniel gestured for Michael to stay. Everyone else filed out quickly. The door closed. They were alone. Daniel walked to the window, looking out at the city. When he finally spoke, his voice was different, harder, colder. Do you remember Friday night, Mr. Carson? Michael's throat went dry. Friday? The holiday party, the red wine, the woman you humiliated in front of 40 people. Oh, God. That woman, Daniel continued, still not turning around, is my mother. The room tilted. Michael gripped the edge of the table. Maria Gonzalez. She's been cleaning this building for 12 years. Every morning at 4 a.m., she's here before any of you. Every night at 8 p.m., she's still here after most of you have left. Daniel turned now, and Michael saw anger burning behind his professional mask. She called me Friday night crying. Do you know the last time I heard my mother cry? When my father died? 15 years ago? Mr. Gonzalez, She didn't call to ask me to do anything about it. She called because she needed someone to tell her she wasn't worthless, that she mattered. That one man's cruelty didn't define her value as a human being. Michael opened his mouth. Nothing came out. I have a choice to make, Mr. Carson. Daniel sat down across from him. I can fire you right now. You publicly humiliated my mother. You demanded she be replaced. Seems fair to return the favor. Please, but I'm not going to do that. Michael looked up, surprised. You want to know why? Daniel leaned forward. Because my mother asked me not to. She said, and I quote, "He has a family, Daniel. Don't ruin his life because of one mistake." Michael felt something crack in his chest. So here's what's going to happen instead. You're going to personally apologize to my mother. Not because I'm ordering you to. Not because you're afraid of losing your job, but because it's the right thing to do. Daniel stood. She'll be in the building tomorrow morning at 4 a.m., like always. I suggest you be here too. He walked to the door, then paused. One more thing, Mr. Carson. The cleaning staff is getting a 40% raise across the board, and they're getting health insurance, real health insurance, not the bare minimum. If you have a problem with that, there's the door. Daniel left. Michael sat alone in the conference room for a long time. Michael didn't sleep that night. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, his wife asleep beside him. Her name was Sarah. They'd been married for 15 years. They had 2 kids, Emma, 12, and Lucas, 9. When was the last time he'd asked how Sarah's day was? Really asked, not just as a formality? When was the last time he'd eaten dinner with his kids on a weeknight? He couldn't remember. At 3:30 a.m., Michael got up. He didn't shower or shave. He just threw on jeans and a sweater, clothes he only wore on weekends, and drove to the office. The parking garage was empty. The building was dark except for a few floors where the cleaning crews worked. Michael had never noticed them before. Now he wondered how many people worked nights in this building that he'd never seen as human. He took the elevator to the executive floor. The lights were on. He could hear a vacuum cleaner running somewhere. He found Maria in his office. She was emptying his trash can. When she saw him, she froze. Mr. Carson. Her voice was carefully neutral. I didn't expect anyone this early. I needed to talk to you. Maria set down the trash can. She didn't say anything. She just waited. Michael had prepared a speech. He'd rehearsed it in the car. But standing here, looking at this woman, really looking at her for the first time, all his prepared words vanished. I'm sorry. His voice cracked. I'm so sorry for what I said. How I treated you. You didn't deserve that. Nobody deserves that. Maria's expression didn't change. I've been thinking about it all weekend, Michael continued. And I realized something. I don't even know your name. Not really. I've walked past you almost every day for... How long have you worked here? 12 years. 12 years. Michael felt sick. I've walked past you for 12 years and never once asked your name. Never said good morning. Never thanked you for making my office clean. His eyes were burning. What kind of person does that make me? A busy one, Maria said quietly. No. Michael shook his head. A cruel one. A blind one. Someone so obsessed with being important that he forgot other people exist. He sat down heavily in his desk chair, the chair Maria dusted every morning. I have kids, he said. A daughter and a son. Emma's 12th. Lucas is 9th. And I realized this morning that I have no idea what Emma's favorite subject in school is. I can't remember the last time I helped Lucas with his homework. I don't even know if they need help. Maria listened without judgment. You know what terrifies me? Michael looked up at her. I'm teaching them to be like me, to value success over kindness, to treat people as obstacles instead of humans. And one day, they're going to treat someone the way I treated you, and it will be my fault. Tears were running down his face now. He didn't wipe them away. I can't undo what I did. I can't take back those words, but I want you to know. He took a shaky breath. I see you now. I see you, Maria. And I'm sorry I didn't before. The silence stretched between them. Then Maria pulled out the other chair in his office and sat down. Mr. Carson, she said, can I tell you something? He nodded. When I came to this country 25 years ago, I had nothing. My husband had just died. Daniel was 10. We had 2 suitcases and $200. That's it. Michael listened. I took any job I could find. I cleaned houses. I washed dishes. I worked in a laundry. And everywhere I went, people treated me like I was invisible. Like I didn't matter because I was poor, because my English wasn't good, because I did work they considered beneath them. She met his eyes. It hurt. Every single day, it hurt. But I kept going because I had Daniel. I had to show him that dignity isn't about what job you have or how much money you make. Dignity is about how you treat people when nobody is watching, how you act when there's nothing to gain from kindness. Your son is remarkable, Michael said. He is. But you know what? A small smile touched Maria's lips. He wasn't always rich. He wasn't always successful. For a long time, he struggled. He worked 3 jobs to get through college. He slept in his car some nights. He knows what it's like to be invisible, too. She stood up. I accept your apology, Mr. Carson. But not because you're afraid of my son. I accept it because I can see you mean it. I do. But apologies are only the beginning. What matters is what you do next. Whether you learn from this. Whether you change. She picked up her cleaning supplies. My shift ends at 8. I usually go home and sleep for a few hours, then come back at 4 p.m. to clean the West Building. Tomorrow morning I'll be back here at 4 a.m., like always. And the day after that, and the day after that. She paused at the door. The question is, Mr. Carson, will you see me? Really see me? Not just tomorrow, but every day after? Or will I become invisible to you again? She left. Michael sat alone in his office as the sun began to rise over Lake Michigan. 3 months later, Michael Carson walked into Morrison and Associates at 5 a.m. Maria was in the break room making coffee. When she saw him, she smiled. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, Michael. First name basis had taken 6 weeks, but they'd gotten there. I brought you something. Michael held out a thermos. Sarah made her special hot chocolate. She insists it's better than coffee. Maria laughed and accepted it. Tell her thank you. They sat together in the break room, something that would have been unthinkable 4 months ago, and talked. Maria told him about her grandson's birthday party. Michael told her about Emma's school play. These morning conversations had become routine. Michael came in early now, not to work, but to connect. He'd meet Maria, they'd talk for 20 minutes, then he'd head to his office. His billable hours had dropped. He didn't care. His marriage had improved. His kids actually talked to him at dinner. That mattered more. How's the foundation coming? Maria asked. Michael smiled. That was the other thing. He'd started a foundation, funded with a significant portion of his savings, to provide scholarships for children of service workers, janitors, cleaning staff, cafeteria workers, kids who were invisible, like their parents. Daniel had matched his donation, then doubled it. We've approved 15 scholarships so far, Michael said. There's a girl in Minnesota whose mother cleans hospitals. She wants to be a doctor. That's beautiful. It's a start. Michael finished his coffee. Speaking of which, I have a settlement conference at 9. But I wanted to ask you something first. What's that? Would you and Daniel like to come to dinner next week? Sarah's been asking. The kids, too. Emma wants to hear stories about Daniel when he was younger. Maria's eyes shone. We'd love that. As Michael walked to his office, He passed other early morning cleaners. He knew all their names now. Roberto, who'd just become a grandfather. Lynn, who was taking night classes in accounting. James, whose daughter was starting college in the fall on one of Michael's scholarships. He said good morning to each of them. It took an extra 5 minutes. It was the best 5 minutes of his day. In his office, Michael looked at the photo on his desk. It was new, taken last week at Emma's school play. Sarah, Emma, and Lucas, all smiling. A real smile this time, not the forced ones from holiday cards. On his computer, he had an email draft open. He'd been working on it for days. It was to the managing partners, proposing a new initiative, paying all service staff a living wage, plus full benefits, plus tuition assistance for their children. It would cost the firm millions. Michael didn't care. He clicked send. His phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer Morrison. "Bold move. I'm voting yes. Well done, Michael." Another text, this one from Daniel. "Mom told me about the dinner invitation. Looking forward to it. Also, saw your proposal. I'm impressed." Michael smiled. He opened his calendar. He had a full day ahead, 3 depositions, 2 client meetings, a settlement conference. But tonight he'd be home for dinner at 6 p.m., and tomorrow morning he'd be back here at 5 a.m. to have coffee with Maria. The old Michael would have called this a waste of time, would have said it hurt his career, his earning potential, his reputation as ruthless. The new Michael knew better. He'd learned that reputation meant nothing if you had to become someone you hated to earn it. That success meant nothing if you had to step on people to achieve it. That money meant nothing if you lost your humanity to gain it. He'd learned all this from a woman he'd once called invisible. Maria had been right. The apology was just the beginning. What mattered was what came next. And what came next was a life Michael actually wanted to live. 6 months after that December night, Morrison and Associates, now officially renamed Morrison Gonzalez Associates, won an award for workplace equity and employee treatment. Michael didn't attend the ceremony. He was at Lucas's soccer game. But Maria was there. She accepted the award on behalf of all the cleaning staff who'd worked in that building for years, unseen and unappreciated. "This award isn't about one person changing," she said in her speech. "It's about what's possible when people choose to see each other. Really see each other, not as titles or positions or income levels, but as human beings." The audience gave her a standing ovation. In the back of the room, Daniel Gonzalez stood next to Jennifer Morrison, both of them clapping. "Your mom is incredible," Jennifer said. "I know," Daniel replied. "She always has been. Some people just needed to open their eyes to see it." That night, Michael and his family had dinner at Maria's apartment. Sarah brought her famous lasagna. The kids brought homework questions for Daniel, who'd quickly become their favorite person. As they sat around Maria's small table, eating and laughing and talking, Michael thought about that December night, about the man he'd been, about the moment that changed everything. He thought about red wine spilling on an expensive suit, and how the most valuable things in life can't be dry cleaned or replaced or measured in dollars. He thought about a woman he'd called invisible, who turned out to be the most important person he'd ever meet. And he thought about second chances, how rare they are, how precious, how transformative when you actually take them. "Thank you," he said suddenly. Everyone looked at him. "Thank you, Maria," he continued, his voice thick with emotion, "for giving me a second chance, for teaching me what actually matters, for showing me how to be human again." Maria reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "We all deserve second chances, Michael. The question is whether we have the courage to take them." She smiled. "You did. And that's what matters." Outside, snow began to fall over Chicago. Inside Maria's apartment, 2 families that should never have met, one wealthy lawyer and one cleaning lady, sat together and talked late into the night. Not about money or status or success, but about the things that actually matter, about family, about kindness, about second chances and the courage to change, about what it means to truly see another person, and about how one moment of choosing humanity over cruelty can change absolutely everything.